What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. I know you guys love hearing about some cool in-game strategies to use that you maybe might not have thought about before, and so today we worked together with a team of analysts to come up with some neat tricks to share with you guys that happen a lot in Challenger, but maybe don't always find their way into the lower ranks of play. It turns out there's quite a lot of things that Challenger players do that we've never really thought about before, so we put together this list of all of the most useful and best in-game tricks that Challenger players are using and abusing, and you should definitely know about them so you can use them yourselves. Some of them you might be doing already, some of them might be new to you, and well, hopefully you can learn a thing or two from this video. So definitely huge thanks to our analysts, eThug and Painless, who are Challenger level players who are helping us out with this video for their awesome ideas. You'll be able to find links to their social media in the description. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like on it or let us know in the comment section below. And be sure to subscribe for some more videos. And this video is going to be sponsored by GGEsports.com. It's a website and mobile app where you can compete for free in an LCS prediction game, and they've got news, stats, and more, all for real prizes like Razer gear and iPhones. I'll be playing in the GG Esports All-Star Series with my boys Pansar Dragon and Solo Renekton Only against Red Mercy, Professor Akali, and GBay99 for even bigger prizes. Register now on GGEsports.com to start playing for free, and stay tuned to the outro to see my predictions for this week. So the first trick that Challenger players are often using is Baron baiting, which is really all about creating pressure around Baron and forcing the enemy team to behave the way you want them to in order to bait them into an optimal fight for you. To do this, you first definitely want to check for wards in the Baron pit and then move your teammates into a place where they can't be seen. The enemy team is essentially forced to come to Baron since they can't really risk you taking it for free. They might come in range to drop a ward or do something like that to check the vision, which is plenty of time for your team to initiate and pick off that first target that is scouting for you guys. If this lets you really force an advantageous fight, it's definitely one of the best and most reliable ways to force a decent team fight, and it's rarely done in the lower to mid elo games, so you're really likely to catch them by surprise. Abusing Fog of War like this to trap enemies is a strategy that is very often used by high elo players, so a little bit less experienced players are definitely not going to know how to play against this type of thing. Next up, we've got the concept of lane priority, which is critical to know about if you're a jungler, especially in higher ranks. Generally, when it comes to higher ranked games, junglers will do something in mid lane and then help push the mid wave, and then roam bot with the mid laner for this 4-man gank strategy. The extra player helps make sure the gank doesn't go wrong and allows you for a very simple and easy tower dive, and usually this strategy will allow you to get some kills or the turret in the bot lane, and the mid laner will be able to get back to the mid lane before the enemy mid laner can push the creeps back up to the turret, so he's not really going to lose all that much CS because the jungler helped him push in the first place. In certain matchups, the jungler might not need to do this, so instead they'll usually ask their mid laner to shove the lane and then rotate to bot or top lane with them. It's important to know about because it essentially forces the enemy mid laner to stay and clear the wave before they can rotate to the side lanes. Now, lower ranked laners and junglers aren't really thinking about which lanes they want to be ganking as a team, as opposed to ganking lanes as an individual player, and that can often mean the enemy mid laner can either push the creeps to the mid tower for free, or they can immediately follow you to a side lane, and that really decreases your chances of a successful gank. Up next, we've got something that players should be doing in the early game, and it's known as the 5-point start, which is a defensive strategy for the start of the game where a team covers all entrances to both the top and bottom side jungle. Now, this is something that you probably know about, but it's extremely useful in lower rank games where level 1 invades can have a really big snowballing effect, since having a 5-point start means that you just aren't going to be surprised by an invade. It's pretty simple, just ping out the jungle entrance locations to your team and tell them to stand at 1 each. As soon as you spot an invade, you can either retreat to the safety of a tower or your team can group up to discourage the invade by threatening to fight. Just don't commit to the fight entirely if the enemy team has a stronger level 1 comp. Remember, this is a defensive strategy, so you're kind of doing it to just protect your buffs and your jungler at the start of the game. Now, another trick is probably actually my personal favorite for the one we have on the list for you guys today. Another one for the junglers looking to level up their game. Something you can actually do is count the enemy jungler's creep score. Ideally, you want to always know which path the enemy jungler is taking, and counting their creep score is actually one way that you can figure out which camps have been killed so far. It was maybe a little bit easier to do in Season 7, but you can definitely still do it in Season 8 in the early game, especially to figure out which camps have been killed by the opposing jungler. For example, since each camp counts as 4 CS, if you see an enemy Lee Sin who starts red buff and then ganks a lane with 12 CS, you know that his path was probably red and then wolves and then blue buff. That means from that 12 CS you can deduce that his Gromp, Wraiths, and Golems are all up and can potentially use that information to counter jungle him. You could maybe use the information to plan an invade, improve your own personal jungle route to stay ahead in XP, and eventually outlevel him, or maybe even catch him after he ganks, returning back to the jungle camp and see if you can maybe get a solo invade on him. The next trick we've got is one that we've definitely talked about quite a lot, and it's really just a really versatile one and something that everyone should be doing when they can, and it's animation canceling. So every high elo player is of course capable of animation canceling on the champions they're comfortable on, though some champions maybe have more options for animation canceling than others. Animation canceling does work pretty much the same way for everyone. You use an input command like an ability, and then you overwrite the animation with an alternate command to cancel the current one without losing the effect of either. Although it doesn't make a massive difference, it can definitely save you a lot of time frames that will allow you to escape or maybe get the kill on your opponent a lot quicker, which now and again can be the difference between winning or losing a fight. Now the best tricks are those that you can use in every game, and that's exactly what you should be doing for this next one, and it's more of like a word of advice than an actual trick, and that is to play around the winning lane. Something that seems to happen a lot in lower ranks of play is that players will try to help a lane that is losing to sort of help them catch up or get them back in the game. You see it happen a lot when a lane is struggling, so maybe they ask the jungler to come help for them. Although this can sometimes help, more often than not, it's actually really just the wrong mentality for winning a game overall. You have a much higher chance to win the game itself if you keep your fed players ahead and basically just sacrifice the losing lane entirely. This can depend on how far behind they are. If they're only a little bit behind, maybe it's not too bad, but generally speaking, you don't want to waste time on a losing lane, and especially not on a lane that is just already lost. Tell them to play passively and just keep assisting your stronger teammates. It's really important to keep the snowball going since the enemy team is likely to target your fed players first too, and this strategy will help you end up win more early games as a result. Now one trick that I personally like to use quite a lot, if anything it just makes the game more fun than anything else, and it's something that you might not expect challenger players to do, and that is to use the mute all function a lot more often than you might expect. Although it's very true that communication is definitely very important to win, you've also got to be able to tell when the chat of your teammates is just going to cause you to play poorly. When you start approaching mid-diamond and beyond, communication does become more important since you really do need to work a lot better with your team to carry, but in the lower ranks, and honestly even in diamond and challenger as well, you don't necessarily need that much communication to win. Just pings are more than often enough. And simply typing /mute all at the start of the game will help you to avoid tilt by giving you much more relaxed games, which can be a nice boost to your mentality that can also help boost your individual play. Personally for me, it helps me play a lot better, so I like to do it. It just makes the game more fun overall. This is one that I think is probably personal preference for everyone, but I would definitely recommend you trying it out if you haven't already. Now here's something that seems pretty trivial to challenger players, but it's definitely something you guys should be thinking about, and that is to know what your role in the game is, and always remind yourself about it. And this varies heavily based on what role and champion you are playing, but it's good to do anyway because it really helps you maintain focus and make the most out of what you can do for your team as a whole. Try to think ahead and plan for team fights in this way, and when you get used to it, you'll be able to figure out your game plan just by looking at the team compositions, who's strong on your team, what the current game situation's like, and what your individual character and role are for your team. I'd also definitely recommend picking champions that are easier to play and probably also not reliant on teammates to win for those of you guys who are maybe in the lower ranks of play and looking to climb up. When you reach high ranks and need to cooperate with your team more to win, you might start seeing more champions that aren't really designed to solo carry a game, but in the lower ranks you should probably try to avoid champion picks that require synergy from your team, unless you think that champion is just really fun to play and is something that you kind of just really want to stick with. Now our next tip of the day is all about pings, and you're going to want to be using them. If you ever watched a pro player or maybe a streamer VOD, you'll notice that pings just happen constantly all the time at the high rank of play. They're pretty much everything you need. Fast, easy communication with your team, and you pretty much should be always using them. Every time you want to make a play, you should always ping first, just to get your teammates on the same page. So really this is something that you kind of just have to build the habit of, whether you're going to engage, help a teammate, or maybe you just spotted the enemy team drop a ward, ping it out to communicate the information to your team. Can't promise they'll always listen to your pings, but that bit of extra communication won't hurt, and it might help you turn a few crucial fights and just really avoid those moments where maybe your teammates weren't paying attention. Thanks everyone. I want to take some time here at the end to talk a bit more about our sponsor, GGEsports.com. So for getting started, after you log into your account, go to the Game Hall. From there you can place your predictions on upcoming LCS matches by selecting League of Legends and the region you want to play with. From there, if you click on the predict option, you'll be taken to a screen where you can make various predictions on that game. This week, at the time of making this video, I put 400,000 coins on Team Liquid to win versus Echo Fox, and I put 225,000 on CLG to upset versus TSM. The games will be over probably by the time I post this video, so maybe I'm a genius, or maybe not so much. Either way, be sure to head over to GGEsports.com to sign up and start playing for free. Either way, looks like that's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.